And so this weekend we finish another liturgical year. Yay! So ends the year cycle B, which is focused on Mark's gospel. Now it shouldn't surprise us that on this last Sunday of ordinary time, we don't get Mark. Because he is the shortest of the Gospels, only 16 chapters, and the chapters aren't that long. And so we've been aware of the fact that this year we supplement Mark's Gospel often with John's Gospel. And so we have a passage from John's Gospel as we finished the cycle B, the year of St. Mark. Next year, as we begin a new liturgical year, we'll be in cycle C, and we'll be focusing in on Luke's gospel. So that should be fun, like Luke. Anyway, so the church finishes up the liturgical year with the solemnity of Jesus Christ, King of the universe. And where does the church place us on this last Sunday? It places us in the praetorium next to Pilate, judging Jesus. That's where we find ourselves this weekend. We are placed in a setting where we are called to make a judgment, to make a determination on who we believe he is. Now, this is not the first time that humanity judges Jesus. We know that he stood in the Sanhedrin and was judged by his peers. Of course, the charges were a little different. In the Sanhedrin, he is charged with the crime of blasphemy. Because this Jesus of Nazareth, made himself equal to God. Now, quite frankly, Pilate doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about theological squabbles among the Jews. And so when they hand Jesus over to Pilate, they give him a political charge. They accuse him of being a king, placing himself in opposition to Caesar. Now, it's interesting to note that in the Roman mind, this is also somewhat of a theological issue because Caesar considered himself also to be God. But one thing was for sure, you can't have two kings. Either Caesar is king, or this Jesus of Nazareth is king, and he will be condemned for claiming to be so. So, it's interesting, when Jesus is being condemned, Jesus always places these accusations back on the lips of those who are accusing him. It's kind of an interesting ploy. Jesus doesn't want Pilate to say, well, you're claiming to be a king. That's not what Jesus wants. Or, your people claim that you're a king. Jesus doesn't want that. He wants Pilate himself to make a decision. He wants each one of us to make that decision. You're saying this with your own lips. You're saying that I am a king. That's what he wants us to do today. Because if we say those words, you are a king, it has consequences. Just as saying, you are equal to the Father. That has consequences. But that's exactly what Jesus wants us to declare after these two trials. After the trial before the Jewish leadership, he wants us to claim with our own lips that he is equal to the Father. And that's what we believe, that he is the Word made flesh in our midst. He wants us, along with Pilate, to say, you are king, the King of kings, the Lord of lords. You reign in my heart. And there's a second issue in today's gospel, and that is the truth. Jesus came to testify, this is the truth, that he is king, that he is equal to the Father. This is the truth. Those who believe in the truth listen to his words. They don't listen to other people. They don't listen to so-called other authorities. If you believe in the truth, then you'll listen to Jesus. because he is the Word of God made flesh. He is God. Pilate and the Sanhedrin are standing in judgment of God in Jesus Christ. Pilate is the patron saint of relativity, where I guess it would be the patron devil, demon, that all things are relative, that there is no truth. Isn't that what our society promotes today? That there really is no truth? Oh, that's your truth. That's what you believe. That's okay. You could believe that. They don't testify that there is, because if there is truth, if we believe in the truth, that means there must be falsehood. Just as Jesus comes down as the Word of God made flesh in our midst to testify the truth, so the evil one is the deceiver. He's the liar. If you believe in the truth, and that's what Jesus wants us to do today, then we will believe that the truth is revealed, that it's accessible. Now, the interesting thing is that if you study the history of the Jewish people, you will see the three forms of government that we have, the three branches of government. You'll see the legislative branch, you'll see the judicial branch, and you'll see the executive branch. Okay, let's just divert ourselves here for a moment. Let's look at these three for a moment. The legislative branch. What's the legislative branch in Judaism? It's the prophets. It's the prophets. They're the ones that discern the Word of God, discern the truth from God. God reveals it to them. They are the legislators. They pass on the Word of God to the people, the laws. And then they write laws to protect the laws. They're the legislators, the prophets. This was okay. This was instituted by God. What about the judicial branch? Well, you have the judges. God gave judges to rule over the people, to judge the difference between right and wrong. This is the judicial branch. What about the executive branch? Well, this is where we have the unique twist in Judaism. You see, God is the executive branch. This is what God wanted for his people. He wanted them to have legislature, wanted them to have prophets, wanted them to have judges, but he wanted to be their king. But Israel wasn't happy with that. They wanted to be like other nations. Give us a king like other nations. We have today's psalm. We sing that God is our king. This psalm predates the Christ event. That's what God's plan was, for him to rule over us as king, to be the executive branch of our lives. But they wanted to be like other nations. So they demanded that Samuel would anoint first Saul and then David. And there were good kings and bad kings, but God warned them what would happen if they chose a human king. But God gave them what they wanted and fulfilled his own plan for them through the Davidic priesthood. Isn't God marvelous the way God does things? God fulfilled their deepest longings to have a king with a face like theirs. And yet that be God in their midst. A wonder counselor. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, God incarnate in their midst. That's what we are judging when we look at Christ. Did God fulfill his promise? A promise that we see hinted at in our first reading today. We know that God comes on the clouds of glory into human history. And Daniel reveals one like a man who comes to the Ancient of Days, to the Father. The first revelation of the Son, who is both human and divine. That's why Jesus loved that title of Son of Man. That's what Daniel describes this one as being, the Son of Man, both human and divine. If on this solemnity, on this last weekend of the liturgical year, if you and I, who stand in judgment, the church has placed us in a position of judgment, if you and I today with our own lips are willing to testify that Jesus is equal to the Father, that he is the Word of God incarnate, the Son of God, the Divine One, the God-man. And if we are willing with our lips to declare that he is the King of Kings, that he reigns in my life, then this will have been a pretty good year. That's exactly what the church wants us to arrive at the end of each liturgical year. That with all that we are, that we'll testify to these truths because we believe in the truth. If we declare that the Word of God has become flesh and is King of Kings, Lord of Lords, then no longer will we wallow in the darkness. No longer will we listen to the voices that separate us and divide us and lead to confusion in our midst, but rather we will place our trust in the truth made flesh. And we will find peace in his kingdom, not just at the end of our days in the kingdom to come, but now. For his kingdom has come, and it's breaking forth in our midst, in the hearts of all those who subject their wills to his kingship. And this is where we are. On this great solemnity of Christ the King. This is our proclamation as we come down this aisle with our hands extended, as we bow at the waist, reverencing God incarnate in our midst, as we take him into ourselves, the truth made flesh, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And if we're still struggling, be at peace. Next weekend, we start over again. We'll start putting the blocks together again. We'll start looking at the promises. We'll start seeing the building blocks of our faith once again, because make no mistake about it, Christ, God, has come. God is present, and God will come again in glory.